What's going on, traders? Just want to do a quick little trade review on CAD yen that I took this week. I hope everybody had a great trading week. Hope we all made a little bit of money. And all I ask of you guys, if you like these videos, just leave a thumbs up. That's all I ask. It helps with the algorithm. And, I don't mind doing. Somebody told me that these trade review videos help them out a lot. And I don't mind doing them for you guys. All I ask is if you do like it, drop a thumbs up. It really helps. And that's really all I ask of you guys. Anyways, we'll hop right into it. It was a pretty nice trade, and I'm basically going to break it down, my whole thought process, starting from the fundamentals. So, as you know, I have a way of assessing fundamental data in order to rank the currencies based on strength according to my analysis, which is, I use inflation, interest rates, GDP, year over year, quarter over quarter, all that data. I put it into a spreadsheet. I analyze it all, and I then find the rank of the currency, which is what I have here. This is a screenshot. So for that week, I put my data in. I have a video on that too, by the way, if you want to go back and look for it. I think the video is called How to Use Fundamentals with Supply and Demand or something like that. I explain this more in detail if this is your first time looking at this. But as you can see here, number one was Aussie, number two was Swiss. But for this trade, I noticed that the Japanese yen was ranked number 3, and the Canadian dollar was just one worse than that, which was a number 4. So the Japanese yen is stronger than the Canadian dollar at this time, and that was the first kind of step that I took, and I realized that. And also another thing to keep in mind is that the Japanese yen is known as a safe haven currency. I know a lot of investors that I don't know, I'm not saying I know any investors personally, I'm just saying, to my knowledge, the Japanese yen is a safe haven currency to put your money in when times are uncertain or in rough times. And I mean, it's no doubt that the whole world has been going through some pretty crazy times in 2020, and we all know why. But so that was my thought process here. I saw this isn't really the ranking that I want. I'd much rather, trade the Aussie against the Euro, the Aussie against the USA because of the difference in rank, right? Like you want to go 5-1, but just keeping that in mind, this is one piece of data that I use, is that the Japanese yen was stronger than the Canadian dollar. The next two pieces of data that I used, I went to the Japanese yen COT reports, the commitment of traders, and I noticed that they still had a strong bias here of 68% short. But keep in mind, this is USD Japanese yen, so this is reversed. So technically, this is analyzing the pair. So technically, short is long. So they still had 44,000 orders short on USD Japanese yen, which means that they had 44,000 orders long on the Japanese yen. So essentially, they were 68% long and 32% short, which is a pretty nice difference. That's a difference that I would put my money on, right? It's not like it's 50-50, right? It's pretty not even, right? Like it's 68-32. I like that difference. That's so noticing that they were majority long bias on the Japanese yen, and then looking at the Canadian dollar COT report, same thing here. You got a reverse, so they were for the Canadian dollar, so they were 70% short compared to 30% long, which is even better than the Japanese yen, 68-32. The Canadian dollar had a more bigger difference of 70-30. So of short to long. Remember, you got to change these. I hope I'm not confusing you guys with that, but so it was pretty obvious that the institutions and the banks were majority short the Canadian dollar and majority long the Japanese yen. So then on my watch list, I put down the pair CAD yen as I'm looking for shorts. So I had a red. I don't know if you're familiar with my other videos. I go over all of this. I had a red color code next to it to look for shorts. I had this daily supply marked out for quite a while. I remember price never really got up to it here. We kept going higher. Finally, we made into this zone. I guess I didn't really see anything I liked in here. But anyways, until now, which I'm going to show you. So price was now this is so basically I have already built my fundamental bias of going short on CAD yen based on all the fundamental data. So I'm only looking to go short. I wasn't looking to go long through here. I was only looking to short up here. So then I'll go to my 4-hour. I found this pretty nice 4-hour zone that it, as I wrote here in my journal, momentum line removed and one opposing zone removed. This is the opposing level that was removed right here from this move away. And this momentum line was also removed. So that now this becomes a tradable zone. You know, this is a really nice move away. This is basically a picture perfect zone. It's a little wide. I would like it obviously maybe a little bit smaller, but nonetheless, it's a great looking zone. It's where momentum shifted from, and I got a nice trade out of it. And keep in mind, the reason I didn't risk that much because I risked less than normal because this is kind of choppy in here, right? Like it's kind of choppy. Price almost came up to it here, so I didn't do full risk on this one based on that, but nonetheless, it was still a good trade. And what I did, I'm still experimenting with my entries and all that stuff, but I first entered on this proximal line right here, and I split up my position. This is my first entry. My second entry was here. Both my stop losses were right here. The reason I do that is because, well, first I entered here just in case, you know, I didn't know that all this was going to happen. This could have just come up, tagged me in, and dropped down, and this entry would have never been triggered. And if I only had this entry, then I would have missed it, right? So that's why I like to split up these positions. And I'm still experimenting with that, so I'm still learning how to take profit with all that. So I'm nowhere near perfect. I'm just explaining to you guys my thought process here. I split up my entries because I don't want to miss the trade. And I also, once you get an entry back in here, it makes makes the risk reward better if price does move away, which is what happened here. So I entered here at the proximal line, and then I entered here right just about halfway through the zone. I just arbitrarily just drew halfway through the zone, and it worked out perfectly. I took profits along the way a couple times. I don't remember exactly, but I'm still getting used to taking profits, and then eventually I was stopped out. I moved my stop loss to break even for both positions, and I was stopped out, but it was a nice trade. I made a little bit of profit. I'm definitely happy with the trade. I'm happy with my whole top-down analysis using the fundamentals as well as the fact that I used the daily time frame as my highest time frame, zoomed in on the 4-hour to narrow down my entry, which is better, I think. So yeah, it worked out pretty well. Like I said, I'm still figuring out how to take profits and what the best way to do that is. And I think from now on, if price moves like 1.5 to 2 to 1, I'm probably going to start taking off like 90% of my position, moving my stop loss to break even and letting that ride instead of like, you know, taking off half here, because then you kind of miss out on a lot of profit. Like if price moves 2 to 1, you're kind of missing out if you take out half. So I'm probably going to start taking out the bulk of my position at like that 2 to 1 area, 1.5 area, take out like 80 to 90% of it, let the other part ride, because you never know, right? Like looking at the daily price, it could come all the way down here and you're just letting 10% of your position ride all the way down here. Maybe it takes a week, but you're at break even. You don't care. You already made money, right? So that's kind of my idea with that. But overall, I think it was a decent trade. I think everything was basically in my favor. I do expect this pair to move just a little higher. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's some monthly supply up above or something like that. But yeah, I hope and like look at this, guys, too. This is just great. You know, this is what I really liked about it. It was a very clear uptrend up, broke up here. This demand broke this supply. This demand that broke the supply was removed very nicely. A nice removal too. It's not like it just wicked down just below. Nice removal. Had a candle close, basically 2 candles close below it, below the zone. Had a nice rally back in too. I really like this approach back in. I thought it was very nice. Not much to stop it on the way out, like what happened. And you know, I posted this trade in the Discord group, and some guy was saying, "Oh, I was messing with your emotions here at first." And yeah, it definitely was giving me a hard time at first. This took a while for the trade to play out. But eventually right here, I'm like, oh, it's starting. As soon as it broke this wick here, I'm like, oh, it's going down. Should have taken off more profits down here rather than just trimming off little bits by bits. But that's just, I'm learning. I'm still figuring out the best way to take profits and all that stuff. And that's why I want you guys to subscribe to me so I can show you my journey, and maybe we can all figure out what works best, and we can all learn from myself, and I can learn from you guys, and that's why I created the group and everything. So I hope all this made sense. If it did, let me know in the comments down below. And like I said, I really appreciate a thumbs up. That's basically all I ask of you guys to try to help the channel grow so we can do more videos. All right, take care, everyone.